There has never been more of an emphasis on the environment and the role buildings play in it. Today, more and more developers and building owners are looking to create green buildings. You can do this in one of two ways.
You can create a building from the ground up with green principles in mind. Another way is to renovate existing buildings.
Green buildings are more efficient than traditional commercial buildings and incorporate sustainable, recycled, and renewable materials. There are several market standards for a green building. The most common is LEED, the U.S. Green Building Council's Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Under LEED, buildings are rated silver, gold, and platinum, depending on their level of sustainability.
When someone has a LEED platinum rating on their building and they can share that with the world, it goes a long way to not only helping market the building, but showing that the landlord has a commitment to sustainable practices.
But that is just the start.
When you've created a green building, you've taken steps to maximize the efficiency of the building and to maximize the return that one gets.
It's not enough to leave a green building as is. There are going to be occupants, and they need to work hand in hand with the landlord in the operations and maintenance of the building. That is where a green lease comes into play.
A green lease is a document that basically takes a green building and on a going forward basis creates a logical and systematic approach to maintaining the green practices.
A green lease really starts with the renovations.
Oftentimes tenants have a great amount of control over what it is that they want in their space, where they want the walls, where they want the lights. And a build out of a space is a great opportunity to incorporate green technology and green ideas into the build out.
Once the space is constructed, who bears the cost of the green build out should be determined in the operating expenses provision of the green lease.
Landlords are generally willing to make those upgrades, but they're not willing to do so out of their own pockets. And tenants desire those upgrades. They want those upgrades. They will require a green building to have those upgrades, but they're less likely to be willing to pay for them themselves.
Both parties have an incentive, but they need to agree on how to split the costs.
Generally, those costs are split by allowing the landlord to include not all green upgrades, but a majority of the green upgrades, which are then can be amortized over the useful life of the upgrade to minimize the impact on the tenant.
It's not just the cost, but the savings incurred by the upgrades that must be factored in as well. The landlord and tenant must agree on one of two types of leases: a net lease, where the tenant directly pays their utilities, or a gross lease, where the utilities are bundled in with the base rent.
If you have a net lease where the tenant is directly paying the bills, is the mere fact that they're paying the bill and they're aware of the cost, is that enough to cause them to self-regulate and reduce electrical costs? On the other hand, if the tenant is in a gross lease and their electricity is already included in base rent, do they have any incentive to turn the lights off at night?
Keeping the physical space green is the second part of the lease. Lighting should be addressed first. It is nearly 20% of the electricity in a building. Water should also be addressed.
High-efficiency water fixtures can be added into the buildings, and it reduces water a great deal.
Recycling, disposal of unwanted furniture or fixtures, and repairs and cleaning are also key. Also to be included are provisions for the building's rules and regulations, subleases, relocation of office tenants, and remedies for failure to comply with the green lease requirements.
It's a collaborative effort between the landlord and the tenant in connection with sustainable practices.
A green building with green leases can not only lower the operating expenses, but increase net operating income, increasing value and efficiency in the areas that impact the environment most in America.